A very good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to our YouTube online learning platform. My name is OLUOCH Stephen. I am a teacher of English and literature, currently teaching in MASENO school. I have been teaching English and literature in MASENO school for the past 7 years. I am also an examiner with the NEC, a job that I have done diligently for the past 5 years. In addition, I am an author. I have authored a number of revision books for high school. Some of these books include the Demystified English Revision Paper 2 that I want to believe is in the market countrywide, the Demystified Paper 3, which is equally in the market countrywide. I have also written the Demystified Poetry Paper 1 and Paper 2. I want to take this opportunity to invite all our viewers to our today's session. I will be the key guest speaker for the 101/3, working closely with the top-notch online media platform. I also want to say that I'm privileged to work alongside experts like Omolo Z. Oyuga, who, by the way, is my co-author of the Demystified series. This platform has done a number of work related to the new set books. The recent ones being excerpts from Fathers of Nation by Paul B. Vita. I want to take you through these Fathers of Nation, not as an excerpt, but as an essay. We want to see how we can handle the Fathers of Nation and respond to essay questions. I want to believe, ladies and gentlemen, that you've taken your time to read Fathers of Nation, a novel that is replacing Blossoms of the Savannah. I want to believe that you've taken your time to analyze this good book. I want to inform all our viewers that I have equally read this book. I have done analysis of this good book, and I want to believe that you have enjoyed whatever you've read from this book. From where I sit, I believe that this book talks about issues and things that we can easily relate with. The issues that are being addressed here are things that affect us in our day-to-day life. And as a third world country, the issues are key to what we see, what we witness in our day-to-day life. Some of these issues include the poor leadership, corruption, betrayal, poverty, the neocolonialism or imperialism, disillusionment, tribalism, nepotism, the suffering of the citizens, oppression and death. There's the issue of change, stroke transformation. There's brutality, tradition, among many other issues that are discussed here. I want to invite all of us to come, sit down and learn with me. We may not discuss all the issues that I've mentioned or all the issues that are here in this novel. I have deliberately picked on an essay question that will be helping us to understand how to handle fathers of nation as far as essays are concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, I have therefore picked on a question that I will share with you shortly, and thereafter we will be going step by step to try and discuss how we can write an essay from this set text. I believe that our current Form 3s are going to do this book as an excerpt, but the current Form 2s are going to discuss or write their exams coming from this book as an essay, and therefore it is important that we pay attention and get to understand what needs to be done to write such essays. Before anything else, ladies and gentlemen, I will be first taking us through how to write an essay from a set text, and thereafter I'll now be introducing my question and step by step discuss how we can write a question, an essay from it. Now, an essay based on set text has got a unique approach. Unlike question 1 in paper 3, the imaginative composition, where we are testing the learner's language ability, in question 2 and 3, we are no longer testing the language of the learner, but in this case, we are testing the learner's knowledge of that particular set text. A candidate must therefore demonstrate that he or she has got the knowledge of the text. There's one indicator that can prove to us that a candidate has got knowledge of the text. This indicator is called details. That anytime a candidate is writing an essay based on set text, he or she must therefore strive to provide details in support of whatever he is talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, in our session today, therefore, we are basically saying that any paragraph that a candidate writes in an essay based on set text, and especially in the body, the candidate must provide details. An essay based on set text has got 3 parts. It has got an introduction marked out of 2, having 1 paragraph. It has got the body marked out of 12. It has got 4 paragraphs, and therefore each paragraph is 3 marks. And lastly, it has got a conclusion, which is marked out of 2. It is also important to say that if you add all the marks there, you're going to realize that we have 16 marks. The 4 marks that is remaining to make it 20 is for the language. These language marks are attached to the marks that a candidate gets from the body. Allow me to say, therefore, that an essay based on set text must have 6 paragraphs. I therefore want to introduce my question from Fathers of Nation to you. This is the question. Citizens in developing countries go through harrowing experience due to poor leadership. I'll repeat. Citizens in developing countries go through harrowing experiences due to poor leadership. Drawing illustration from Fathers of Nation by Paul B. Vita validate the truth of the statement. Citizens in developing countries go through harrowing experiences due to poor leadership. Full stop, close quotation. Drawing illustration from Fathers of Nation by Paul B. Vita validate the truth of the statement. I want to use that question to discuss the 3 parts of the essay that I've talked about. Allow me to start with the introduction. I am aware that there are a number of types of introduction that you know. I am aware that we've informed our learners of these different types of introduction. Today, therefore, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to bring in a type of introduction that I term as the easiest for candidates to score marks. This type of introduction has got 3 parts. The first part of the introduction is called the interpretation, or what other people call the paraphrase part. The second part of the introduction is the using a topic sentence as a hint. The third part is attaching it to the text, which we call the attachment to the text. Now, we expect candidates to bring out the 3 parts clearly for that candidate to score the full marks. Allow me to explain the first part, which is the interpretation. Now, when I'm talking about the interpretation part, I am referring to the fact that a candidate must read the question, understand the question, and be in a position to rewrite that question in his or her own words. In other words, the candidate must be in a position to rewrite the question in his or her own words in a different way. In this case, our question here talks about citizens in developing countries go through harrowing experiences due to poor leadership. A student who, for example, would write such an interpretation: individuals in third world states suffers as a result of bad governance. I repeat, individuals in third world states suffers as a result of bad governance. If you look at that interpretation with what was given as a question, it is clear that they mean the same thing. It's one and the same. Individuals in third world states, we are talking about citizens in developing countries. When we talk about going through harrowing experiences, then we say suffering due to poor leadership. We are talking about as a result of bad governance. When a student presents to you such an interpretation, then we are saying that the student has understood the question. Now, the second part of my introduction, I said, is using a topic sentence as a hint. Ladies and gentlemen, we are aware that when we'll be developing the body, we'll be having 4 paragraphs. Each of those 4 paragraphs will be having a topic to discuss. Out of the 4 that you're going to discuss in the body, we are saying pick one as a hint. You need to hint to us some of the things that you're going to talk about. You may not list all of them here, but we are saying pick one of them and use as an illustration of the interpretation that you've given. In this case, I'm expecting a student to write such a thing. A taxi driver is harassed by police officers asking for bribes. A taxi driver is harassed by police officers asking for bribes. You remember the incident when a taxi driver was taking Fiona Mackenzie back to the office, and at a point they are stopped, and the taxi driver is harassed there by those guards asking for bribes. We can take different illustrations. I have decided to pick on the taxi driver. You can pick on the slum dwellers in Zimbabwe being evicted and their structures brought to the ground. You can pick any. What we are saying is that out of the 4 items that you're going to talk about in the body, you need to pick one and use it as an illustration of the interpretation or the paraphrase that you've given. The very last part of my introduction, ladies and gentlemen, is attaching everything that you've written. That is both the interpretation and whatever you've given as a hint to that particular set text. In this case, I'll be saying, this is as illustrated in the novel Fathers of Nation. When you are done with your introduction, we are going to the second part of an essay based on set text. And the second part is the body. Like I said earlier, the body of an essay based on set text has got 4 paragraphs. And I've already said that each of these 4 paragraphs deals with an item at a time. They deal with an idea at a time. And therefore we are saying that we don't want to mix points in paragraphs. Each paragraph with its own points. The other thing that must be there in each of the 4 paragraphs is that each of them must have 3 items. That out of these 4 paragraphs, each of them must have a topic sentence, it must have background information, and it must have textual evidences. These are the things that are going to help us write a detailed paragraph in the body. Allow me to begin with topic sentence. Now, the topic sentence is always the first sentence in each paragraph in the body. It is the sentence that presents the main idea that is to be discussed. We're also saying that a topic sentence must be short, clear, and must answer the question fully. A topic sentence is that which answers the question, what happened, and who is or who are involved as far as that particular question is concerned. Now, there are a number of things that I've talked about here that I need to explain. When we are saying that a topic sentence must be short in the sense that we expect the topic sentence to be brief. In this case, you've not started the discussion yet. You are just presenting the topic that you are yet to talk about. You are yet to discuss. So we expect you to bring it in a brief manner. When we are saying that a topic sentence must answer the question fully, we are referring to the fact that there are questions that have got different parts. You will find some questions having 2 parts. You will find other questions having 3 parts or even 4. When you're writing for us your topic sentence, we are saying you must respond to all the parts of the question. In our case here, when we are saying that citizens in developing countries go through harrowing experience due to bad leadership, then we want to see 3 parts. We want to see individuals in these third world states. We want to see the suffering, and we want to see the poor leadership. So in our question here, we have a question that has got 3 parts. If, for example, somebody wants to write a topic sentence for that question, then we are saying that those 3 parts must come out clearly in his or her topic sentence. The last point that I'm saying is that a topic sentence answers the question, what happened and who is or who are involved. After you've written your topic sentence, ask yourself that question. Is it answering what happened and who is or are involved as far as that particular question is concerned? A good example here. The taxi driver goes through harassment by police officers who demands for a bribe. If you look at that topic sentence and the things that I've talked about, you realize that 1, it is short, that is brief. 2, it has answered the question fully in the sense that the individual we are talking about here is the taxi driver. The harrowing experience that we are talking about here is the harassment. The poor leadership that we are talking about here is the police officers taking bribe. It has answered the question fully. It has answered the question, what happened and who is involved. What happened is that the taxi driver is being harassed by the police officers taking bribe. Who are these people that are involved? The taxi driver is involved here. The guards who are taking bribes are also involved. Look at my next topic sentence. Comrade Melusi's wife is murdered and his kinsmen killed by the government. Look at another of my topic sentence. Citizens suffer due to corruption and impunity promoted by bad governance. Look at yet another topic sentence. The slum dwellers in Zimbabwe are evicted and their structures demolished by the government. So when we're talking about topic sentence, we are referring to that main idea that you want to build your argument from. The second part of a paragraph is the background information. Now, we are saying that a background information is a part that provides information surrounding what is given as a topic sentence. We're also saying that it answers the question, what triggered what is written as a topic sentence to happen? What made what is given as a topic sentence to happen? Look at this topic sentence. Citizens lose their source of livelihood in what the government termed slum clearance exercise in Gambia. Citizens lose their source of livelihood in what the government termed slum clearance exercise in Gambia. So that is my topic sentence. If I want to give what triggered the government to clear this slum, then I'll be giving a background information. And my background information is this clearance of the slum was done to paint a fake picture to the 49 visiting heads of states and other dignitaries of how Gambia look like. Remember, the summit was going to be organized in Gambia, and therefore Gambian government is clearing structures along the road, and I want to take you there. In page 11, and I read the second paragraph. Nowhere is the price higher than it is in Africa. Here, before the dignitaries arrived, bulldozers dispatched at night in slum clearance exercises demolish roadside kiosks, of which whole families depend for their livelihood. Then look at the reason that they're giving. This way, the dignitaries will see that a few streets once had sidewalks. So, what triggered them to clear these slums and kiosks was to give a different picture to the dignitaries that were arriving in Gambia. This way, the dignitaries will see that a few streets once had sidewalks. Roads get rare layers of tarmac at times of maximum traffic, so on and so forth. So what triggered the government to clear these kiosks, to clear these slums, was because the dignitaries were going to arrive in Gambia, and therefore they wanted to paint a picture that they don't have slums. But while doing this, the citizens suffers. Look at another example, and I'll first start with the topic sentence. The slum dwellers in Zimbabwe are evicted and their structures brought to the ground. The slum dwellers in Zimbabwe are evicted and their structures brought to the ground. That is my topic sentence. What triggered the slum dwellers in Zimbabwe to be evicted? What triggered the government to demolish their structures? If we can get that, then we are talking about the background information for this particular topic sentence. Here is my background information. The government pretended that they were controlling diseases and crime, while in real sense, they targeted the slum dwellers to punish them for supporting opposition parties. And I want to read for you so that we get that clear picture. Page 97 and 98. I'll start where Comrade Melusi is talking about how he ended up in a slum area. I can't say it did well. Inflation was eroding incomes faster than they could grow. But I survived. I didn't live and work in as clean a suburb as I did before. I just could not afford the rent there anymore. No, I had relocated to a slum in a poor part of Harare. But hey, I was alive. He laughed falsely. Sorrow was in his eyes. Then there came Vina. Then there came what? Asked the visitor. And the visitor we are talking about here is Tad Longway. Savina. It is Shona, meaning expelling the trash. So here, these slum dwellers are treated as trash by their government. Please go on. Bulldozers went from slum to slum, evicting residents by tearing their homes to the ground. Murambasavina expelled us, the trash. They are referring to themselves as the trash. All right, we got no advance warning before or alternative accommodation after. Nobody cared whether we lived or died. We had to go. It did not matter where, just go. Did anyone explain why you had to leave? The bomber tried to. The real aim, he said, was to prevent disease and curb crime. This is a lie. Was that its aim? Comrade Melusi belched. Disease and crime increased instead. No. The bulldozer had nothing to do with the curbing of diseases or crime. Its true aim was to punish us, the urban poor, for supporting opposition parties. So that's why we are saying what prompted, what triggered, or what made the slum dwellers of Zimbabwe to be evicted and their structures be brought to the ground. And that's the background information that we're providing, that the government pretended that they were controlling diseases and crime, while in real sense, they were targeting these slum residents just to punish them for supporting opposition parties. The third part of a paragraph in the body is the textual evidences. Textual evidences, here we expect detailed, tangible evidences from the text to support what was given as a topic sentence. Textual evidences explains how what is given as a topic sentence happened. And we are saying that the explanation must be detailed and from different episodes. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to convince us beyond doubt that you have enough supporting sentences from different episodes to support whatever you gave as a topic sentence. We are saying that textual evidences answers the question, how did what is given as a topic sentence happen? How did what is given as a topic sentence happened? Example. Let's start with the topic sentence. The slum dwellers in Zimbabwe are evicted and their structures brought to the ground. That is my topic sentence. I want to explain how it happened. After Comrade Melusi clashed with his former comrade and lost everything, he relocated to a slum in a poor part of Harare. It is at that slum that the government sent the bulldozers to demolish all the slums. They were evicted and their homes teared to the ground. Furthermore, this was being done to these residents without any prior warning or any alternative accommodation. The government never cared whether they lived or died. All those were done by their own government to punish them for supporting opposition parties. And we can go on and on and on and explain how it really happened. The bottom line being, are you supplying sufficient detailed information to support the topic sentence? We expect candidates to give details. We expect candidates to use more than one episode to support the topic sentence. Ladies and gentlemen, the three items that I've talked about must be there and in detail, giving information in each and every paragraph to support, to clearly illustrate, drawing detailed illustrations from the book to convince us that you have sufficient knowledge of what you are talking about. Remember when I started, I said that we are testing the learner's knowledge of the text. It is at this point that we are putting you to a test. Do you have that knowledge? Are you able to supply sufficient detailed information to support the topic sentence that you presented? Many people may identify the correct episode, but if you fail to supply sufficient information, you may not go beyond a thing. Remember, we are marking each and every paragraph in the body in 4 dimensions. 1, a student who supplies everything that is needed sufficiently scores a full, which is a 3/3. A student who supplies some information, not sufficient though, can score a thin or a fair. A student who doesn't give the correct response as per the question gets unpointed, which is a 0/3. So out of the 4 paragraphs, each of them must have topic sentence, must have background information, and must have sufficient textual evidences. Going to the last part of an essay based on set text. Remember when I started, I said that essays based on set text has got 3 parts. The introduction that I've already talked about, the body that I've just finished. The last part is the conclusion. Now, just like the introduction, conclusion must be brief. The other item about conclusion is that it must never repeat the question set. Some of our candidates have a tendency to repeat the question. For example, some will tell you, if our question is talking about citizens in developing countries going through harrowing experience, some of them will write for you, indeed, citizens in developing countries go through harrowing experience. That is not a conclusion. So let's advise our learners never to repeat the questions given. Instead, there are two ways that I want to recommend for writing a conclusion. One, a candidate can decide to end with a relevant proverb. The proverb must be relevant to the discussions that have taken place in the 4 paragraphs in the body. Apart from ending with a relevant proverb, a candidate can also end with a moral lesson learned. The moral lesson learned comes from the discussions in the 4 paragraphs in the body. These two ways are the best for our learners, and therefore I want to recommend that in any case we are teaching our learners how to write conclusions, let's advise them either to use a relevant proverb in line with the discussions in the body, or a moral lesson that we learn from the body, bearing in mind that moral lessons are written in positive form. We therefore expect that a candidate to tell us what he or she has learned, not what he or she has not learned. Coming to an end of my presentation, ladies and gentlemen, allow me once again to go through everything that I've talked about. One, I have said that essays based on set text are testing knowledge, and therefore, at every stage, the learner must demonstrate his or her knowledge of the text. Two, I have said that essays based on set text has got 6 paragraphs, 1 paragraph for the introduction, 4 paragraphs for the body, and the last paragraph for the conclusion. The third thing that I've said is that when it comes to the introduction, my introduction has got 3 parts: interpretation part, what we call the paraphrase, a hint using a topic sentence, and attachment to the text. Talking about the body, we are saying that it has got 4 paragraphs. Each of the 4 paragraphs discusses an idea at a time. And I also said that each of the 4 paragraphs must have a topic sentence, which must be brief and fully answer the question. It answers what triggered, what happened, and who is or who are involved. And we've seen examples. Background information answers what triggered or what made whatever is given as a topic sentence to happen. Textual evidences, we said that candidates must provide real, detailed, tangible evidences. It is from the detailed evidences that will convince us that the candidate has got knowledge of that particular text. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, I have talked about conclusion, which I've said that I recommend 2 ways of writing a conclusion: either end with a relevant proverb or end with the moral lesson learned, which I've said that moral lessons are written in positive. Thank you very much for listening. I am OLUOCH Stephen For more information, you can call me on 0701 198 996. Let's enjoy the literature together. Have a good day.